Sarah pays off her student loan 4 years early. David keeps making minimum payments and invests the difference. They both think they made the smarter choice. Sarah is wrong, and the gap between their net worth 15 years from now will make you question everything you were ever taught about debt. Let's make this fair. Sarah and David both graduated with $28,000 in student loan debt. Same interest rate, 6%. Same monthly minimum payment, $310 a month. Same salary, $58,000 a year. Same city, same starting point. The only difference is what they do with the extra $500 a month. They both manage to save. Sarah does what every financial advice article tells her to do. She throws that extra $500 straight at her loan. She's paying $810 a month, total. She'll be debt-free in about 3 years, instead of 10. She tells her parents. They're proud. She tells her friends. They're impressed. She sleeps better at night, knowing that debt is shrinking fast. Sarah feels like she's winning. David does something that sounds irresponsible on the surface. He keeps paying the $310 minimum on his loan. And every month, he takes that extra $500 and puts it into a total market index fund. His coworkers think he's being reckless. His mom asks him why he isn't just paying off the debt first. He doesn't have a great answer at dinner, but he has a spreadsheet. On day 1, Sarah has momentum and a plan. David has debt and a brokerage account. It doesn't feel like David is winning, but feelings and math have never agreed on much. Here's what's happening in year 1. Sarah's loan balance is dropping fast. Every extra dollar she pays reduces the principal, which reduces the interest she owes next month. She's watching that number fall, and it feels incredible. She's saving hundreds of dollars in interest over the life of the loan. That part is completely real. David's loan balance is barely moving. Most of his $310 payment is going to interest, not principal. His balance at the end of year 1 looks almost the same as when he started. But his investment account is sitting at about $6,500. The market returned roughly 10%. His $500 a month is quietly compounding. Nobody at the dinner party is asking him about it. By year 3, Sarah is done. Debt-free. She throws a small celebration. She genuinely earned it. Over 3 years, she paid roughly $4,200 in interest total on her loan. If she had taken the full 10 years, she would have paid closer to $9,300 in interest. She saved about $5,100 in interest by paying early. That is real money. That is not a small thing. But here is where the story gets complicated. David still has $22,000 left on his loan at year 3. He's paid about $5,600 in interest so far. On paper, he looks like he's losing. But his investment account is sitting at roughly $22,000. Because while Sarah was eliminating a 6% debt, David was earning closer to 10% on that same money. That 4% difference is the entire argument. And most people never stop to do this math. The question was never whether debt is bad. The question was always, what is the actual cost of this debt compared to what that money could be doing somewhere else? Sarah's loan cost her 6% a year. David's index fund returned roughly 10% a year on average. Every dollar Sarah used to pay down debt early was a dollar that didn't earn 10%. It earned 6% by eliminating a 6% cost. That difference is 4% a year, compounded, for years. It sounds small. It is not small. Let's look at year 5. Sarah has been debt-free for 2 years. She's now investing that full $810 a month, the minimum payment plus the extra $500 she used to throw at the loan. Her investment account is starting to grow fast. She's doing everything right now. David paid off his loan at a normal 10-year mark. But for the past 5 years, he's had $22,000 in an account that has been compounding. His portfolio at the year 5 is sitting at approximately $38,000 to $42,000. Sarah's portfolio at year 5, remember she only started investing aggressively 2 years ago, is around $21,000 to $24,000. David is already ahead, and the gap is about to get wider. Here's what nobody talks about when they tell you to pay off debt first. Compounding doesn't wait for you. Every year, Sarah spent aggressively paying down a 6% loan. Was a year her money wasn't compounding at 10%. You cannot go back and reclaim those early compounding years. The money you invest at 25 is worth dramatically more than the money you invest at 35. Not a little more, dramatically more. Because compounding is exponential, not linear. The first dollars in are the most powerful dollars you will ever invest. By year 10, David pays off his student loan completely. He now redirects that $310 minimum payment into his investment account too. His total monthly investment goes from $500 to $810. His portfolio at this point is sitting at approximately $102,000 to $115,000. Sarah at year 10 has been investing $810 a month for 7 years. Her portfolio is sitting at approximately $88,000 to $98,000. David is still ahead, even though he paid more in interest over the life of the loan, even though his debt sat there for 10 full years, even though everyone around him thought he was making the irresponsible choice. By year 15, the compounding effect fully takes over. David's portfolio is sitting at approximately $220,000 to $250,000. Sarah's portfolio is sitting at approximately $185,000 to $210,000. The gap is somewhere between $35,000 and $65,000. In David's favor. That is the cost of paying off a 6% loan early when the market historically returns 10%. Now, before you close this video and go cancel your extra debt payments, there are situations where paying off debt first is absolutely the right move. And ignoring them would make me exactly the kind of one-sided financial content creator I can't stand. High interest debt changes everything. We were talking about a 6% student loan. If Sarah had credit card debt at 22%, the math flips completely. There is no index fund on earth that reliably returns 22% a year. Paying off high-interest debt first is not emotional. It is mathematical. The break-even point is somewhere around 7 to 8%. If your debt costs more than that, pay it off. If it costs less, the math usually favors investing. Psychological certainty has real value. David's strategy requires watching your debt sit there for 10 years while trusting the market to perform. In 2008, the market dropped 37%. If David had $80,000 invested and watched it fall to $50,000 while still owing $15,000 on a loan, a lot of people would panic sell, lock in losses, and destroy the entire strategy. If paying off debt first helps you stay the course and actually invest consistently afterward, the behavioral advantage can outweigh the mathematical disadvantage. Personal finance is personal. The best strategy is the one you will actually stick to. Job security matters too. David's plan assumes consistent income for 10 years. If he loses his job with $20,000 in debt and $15,000 in investments, he has options. But if the market is down 30% when he needs to liquidate, those options get expensive fast. An emergency fund plus low interest debt is a manageable situation. No emergency fund plus any debt is a trap. Sarah and David both made reasonable choices. Sarah chose certainty, simplicity, and peace of mind. David chose optimization, patience, and math. Neither of them is reckless. Neither of them is foolish. But only one of them sat down and actually compared the cost of the debt to the potential return of the alternative. The financial advice machine has been telling people to eliminate all debt as fast as possible for decades. And for high-interest debt, that advice is correct. But somewhere along the way, that rule got applied to every debt, regardless of rate, and millions of people have been making mathematically suboptimal decisions while feeling financially virtuous. The trap is not debt. The trap is not investing. The trap is making a $35,000 to $65,000 decision based on how something feels instead of what the numbers actually say. So the next time someone tells you to pay off all your debt before you invest a single dollar, ask them one question. What is the interest rate? Because that number is the only thing that determines whether they are giving you advice or giving you anxiety.